There was once upon a time a miller who had a very beautiful daughter. They lived together in a mill that had once been a fine house. Times were hard, however, and the miller did not make very much money. Sometimes the grain ground by the mill was too hard, sometimes it was too soft, sometimes there was too much grain and the mice ate all the millet, sometimes there was not enough grain and the miller and his daughter would go hungry.
The miller was also very sad because his wife had died many years previously, and he was a widower. His daughter was a great source of comfort to him.
The mill was in the countryside beside a stream which was used to keep the mill wheel going. There was a large garden next to the mill, which the miller's daughter looked after. The garden was her pride and joy.
And one sunny day the miller's daughter came into the garden enjoying the flowers, trees, and the sun.
Meow. Meow.
Oh, what a beautiful day! The flowers, the water running through the mill. I do love this sunny weather. Ruff, Ruff, where are you, Ruff? Come here, boy. Fetch, Ruff. Now don't be silly. You have to bring the stick back. Come on, Ruff. Leave the cat alone. Bring the stick back to me. Well, don't just chew the stick.
Go away, Ruff. Go away, Ruff.
Father, you look so sad. What is the matter?
Oh, my dear daughter, our life is so hard. I'm exhausted from getting up early every morning, working hard at the mill all day, and going to bed late every night. Try as I may, no matter how hard I work, we never seem to have enough food, never mind any left of it over to save, and you never have nice clothes.
I don't need nice clothes. I have you and the animals and this beautiful garden.
Well, I think you deserve some nicer clothes. And anyway, it won't be enough. One day I'll be too old to do the milling, and then what will happen? We'll both starve to death.
Oh, Father, you worry too much. The sun is out, the garden is beautiful, and we have each other.
I know, but I think there's reason to worry.
Father, do you think perhaps the king may be able to help us?
The king?
The king, Father. Perhaps he'll be able to help us.
Why would the king want to help us? He lives in a palace. He has cooks, housekeepers, gardeners, all the food he could possibly want. He would never bother with people like us.
But, Father, he is too a man, and perhaps you would have pity on us and help us. Him?
Well, perhaps you're right. Things certainly cannot get much worse than they are at the moment.
How do you think we should get into the palace? Do you think we can just walk up and ask to speak to him?
No, daughter, I'm sure the guards would turn us away immediately.
Maybe you're right. Perhaps we can pretend to be servants and sneak in the back.
They'd throw us out as soon as we tried to speak to the king.
Well, I don't know then. I can't think of another way in.
It's no use. The king would never agree to see us. We're just simple peasants, far too poor for his majesty to receive us. But now I must go back to the mill. There is a little wheat left that needs attending to.
Oh, I suppose I should go in too and prepare dinner. Come on, Ruff, dinner time. Oh, Ruff, not in public.
Over the next few days, the miller and his daughter racked their brains, trying desperately to think of a way to persuade the king to help them. One day, as the miller's daughter was tending the garden, the prince, the only son of the king, set out on a fox hunt with a guard in attendance. They went right past the mill where the miller and his daughter lived.
Another beautiful sunny day, and I can work in the garden.
Oh, what a beautiful girl. Henry, isn't she pretty?
Very pretty, sir. Yes.
Do you think my father would like her? I would so like to get married, but he hasn't liked any of my girlfriends yet.
Hard to say, sir.
Father always says my girlfriends are unsuitable and forbids me to marry them. Sometimes he says they're too short, sometimes he says they're too tall, some are apparently too silent, and others are too talkative. Some he says are too big or too small, and then there are some that he really hates
Sorry, sir.
because they like Taylor Swift.
Yes. He doesn't like those at all.
It's almost as though he doesn't want me to get married at all. But I think this girl's really pretty, and I'd like to get to know her. Do you think I could go over and ask her for a date?
No, sir. You're a prince, sir. You can't just go up to the people in the street and talk to them. What would your father think?
Well, what shall I do then?
Perhaps you should ask your father if you can officially invite her to the palace. You know he likes you to do things properly.
Oh, that's a good idea. Thank you. I'll do that. I'm sure he'll agree that she's very pretty, very beautiful, and as long as she doesn't like Taylor Swift and she likes me, I might be able to marry her. Let's go now and ask him.
Very good, sir.
Was somebody there? I thought I heard someone. How odd. Perhaps they could have helped us. I've been racking my brains all day, trying to figure out a way to earn some more money. I'm beginning to think it's useless. But look at the time. I must go and prepare my father's dinner. Come on, Ruff, dinner time. No, Ruff. Phew, that's a good boy.
Meanwhile, the prince had hurried home to speak to his father and to tell him about the beautiful girl he had seen working in the garden. The king was very suspicious. He didn't trust his son's taste in girlfriends at all. But he agreed that the prince could invite the girl and her father over to the palace so that he could decide whether she might be a suitable wife for the prince and future queen of the land.
And so while the miller and his daughter were racking their brains for a way in which they might be invited to the palace, suddenly a messenger appeared with a message that they should be present themselves at the palace the very next day.
The next morning, the miller and his daughter set off for the palace, all in fear and trembling, because the messenger had not told them why they had been summoned. They would have dressed up in their best clothes, but being so poor, they had no best clothes and simply went as they were. They arrived at the palace gate and were shown into an antechamber outside the throne room.
Father, thank you so much for letting me invite this girl and her father to the palace. I'm sure that once you see her, you'll agree she's the right sort of girl for me to marry.
We'll see about that, my boy. It's certainly time you got married. But I wish you just had better taste. You don't seem to understand that you can't just marry anyone. A princess wife will be a queen one day. She has to be something really special.
I'm sure she is, Father. Just you wait and see.
Your Majesty, the commoners you summoned have arrived. Does your lordship wish to grant them an audience now?
Certainly. Guard, show them in right away.
Yes, my lord.
Oh, Father, they're here.
Don't get your hopes up too much. This one might be a Swifty too, and I'm not having one of those in the family.
But, Father.
End of argument.
Here they are, sir.
Thank you, Henry. Welcome to you both.
Your Majesty, may I just say what an honour it is to be here?
You aren't meant to speak until you're invited to speak. Just be quiet.
My son, the prince, requested that I grant you an audience. As you know, my wife died some years ago, and I have led a lonely life. One day, when I too am gone to the next world, my son will become king, and then I hope he will have married so that this land will have a queen once again. This land needs a good queen. Every land needs a good queen. The prince has seen your daughters on his travels and wishes me to judge whether she might make a suitable wife for him.
I think you're supposed to talk now.
Are you sure? All right then. Your Majesty, I am honoured to be here, but surely there must be some mistake. We are humble peasants scraping a living by running a mill. My daughter is very precious to me, but she cannot possibly have the qualities you are looking for in a wife for your son, and eventually a queen.
Silence, Miller. Let me be the judge of that. How dare you suggest that your judgment in the matter is better than mine?
Your Majesty, please accept my apologies. I did not mean to offend you.
Now then, young lady, come here and let's have a look at you. Not too short, not too tall, not too big, not too small. So far, so good. Tell me, do you have a tongue in your head?
Why, yes, Your Majesty, I do. Every day I talk with my father, who is a kind and good man.
And do you argue with him? Lash at him with your tongue? But berate him when he goes to the pub?
Your Majesty, we never have cause to argue, and he never goes to the pub. The only harsh words I have for him are to scold him when he works too hard and too long.
So far, so good. And do you like Taylor Swift, my girl? What's a Taylor Swift? I have no idea. So what should I say? I don't know. Just make something up.
Your Majesty, I'm afraid I've never heard of Taylor Swift before, so I couldn't possibly know if I like it or not.
Oh, thank goodness for that. Well, she seems like a very nice girl. The thing is, you couldn't possibly become queen without being special, and it seems that very few of the young ladies in this land are special at all. Tell me, my good man, is your daughter special?
Oh, yes, sir. She's an outstanding cook.
That counts for nothing in this palace. We have cooks by the dozen.
Your Majesty, my daughter's an excellent housekeeper.
That also counts for nothing. We have housekeepers by the hundreds in this palace.
Your Majesty, my daughter's a wonderful gardener. Our garden's the envy for miles around here.
You fool. That too counts for nothing. We have thousands of gardeners here. Princesses aren't even allowed in the gardens.
Well, Your Majesty, my daughter's able to spin straw into gold.
What?
She's able to spin straw into gold.
Father?
Well, now, that is something special. I must think about it for a moment.
Father, why on earth did you say that? You know I have no idea how to spin straw into gold.
Well, I'm sure we'll think of something. Don't worry.
Now, son, this is a special skill. Straw into gold. I mean, we do have quite a lot of gold already, but you never know when we might need some more.
Yes, father. I told you. I thought she would make a suitable wife for me, just because she seems so beautiful and graceful. But I agree, spinning straw into gold is a unique talent.
Well, my son and I, what you say, highly remarkable. So remarkable, in fact, that we would like your daughter to stay with us for a few days, so we may test whether what you say is true. If it is true, she shall marry my son and one day become queen. If it's not true, you shall both spend the rest of your lives in jail. Guard, guard, come here this instant.
Yes, my lord. You called.
Place a spinning wheel and a small amount of straw in dungeon 4. Do it now.
A spinning wheel and a small amount of straw in dungeon 4, my lord. Right away, my lord.
Now look what you've done. What a mess you've got us both into. Ugh, I wish we'd never come here.
It's all right, my dear. I'll think of something. It'll be all right.
Now, come along. We'll take you to your room and give you some straw to spin into gold.
Yes, Your Majesty. Goodbye, Father.
Goodbye and good luck.
And so the miller's daughter was taken by the king and prince down one corridor after another, past grand room after another, past the palace ballroom, and through the retiring room and the billiards room. They then went down innumerable flights of stairs into the very depths of the palace. Quickly, the miller's daughter then became aware that she was a prisoner, because even if she were left alone, she would never find her way out. It was too much like a maze.
Deeper and deeper into the bowels of the palace they went until they arrived at the dungeons. The king peered into one, then into another, and another, until he found the one he wanted. He pulled a key from beneath his robes, unlocked the door, and bade the door to go in. She did so and found herself in a cell which was dark, damp, and dirty.
Well, since you are the girl who can spin straw into gold, here's a spinning wheel and some straw. I hope for your sake that your father was not exaggerating about your special qualities. My son and I will come down and see you in the morning. Good night.
Good luck.
Oh, my soul, this is dreadful. My father knew perfectly well that I can't spin straw into gold. What on earth am I going to do? How could he forsake me like this? Will I ever see sunlight again? My garden, my poor dog Ruff, we were perfectly happy as we were before all this happened. Why can't I just go home and get away from all this? I don't particularly want to be a princess or a queen. I just want to be with my father at the mill. What was that? A spirit? At least that would be better than a spider. I do hope there are no spiders here. Who is that? Show yourself. You're frightening me. Ah! Who are you? And what are you doing here?
Why do you cry? You're so pretty.
Who are you? You frightened me.
You haven't told me why you are crying. A beautiful young lady like you shouldn't be crying.
Why shouldn't I cry? I'm ordered to spin this horrid straw into gold before morning, and everyone knows that it is not possible to spin straw into gold. And if I fail, I shall have to remain in the cell for the rest of my life. That is why I'm crying.
And what will you give me if I do it for you?
What do you mean?
I mean exactly what I said. What will you give me if I do it for you?
Do it for me? You mean you can spin straw into gold?
Of, of course I can spin straw into gold. I would hardly offer to do it for you if I couldn't. So what will you give me if I do it for you?
But I have nothing to give you. I am a poor miller's daughter with hardly a penny to my name.
You have a gold necklace around your neck. You could give me that.
This is the necklace that my mother gave me as she lay dying. It would break my heart to give it away. You cannot ask me for that.
So, you have nothing to give me. If I spin that straw into gold, then I'll be on my way. Good evening.
Wait, come back. If you can really spin this straw into gold, I will give you my necklace, and may my mother forgive me.
So the little man took the necklace, sat himself down at the spinning wheel, and began to work. Slowly he began to spin, getting faster and faster until the wheel was just a blur.
Little man, you have saved my life. Thank you ever so much. I will remember you always.
The little man stepped away from the wheel, and before the miller's daughter could say another word, he was gone, with the necklace. She, exhausted from the events of the day and the fear of spending the rest of her life in jail, lay down in the corner of a dungeon and quickly fell asleep.
Soon it was sunrise, and the king and prince came in.
This is indeed a marvel. The straw has been spun into gold of the finest quality. Maybe this young woman is special enough to become your wife. She has done a very fine job here, but now that I've seen all this gold that she spun from the straw, I've realized that we should have gave her more straw to begin with. I think we should top up the palace's gold reserve a little more.
Father, do you really think that's necessary? Clearly, since she can spin straw into gold, there'll be time enough to ask her for more later on.
No, I want more now.
Ugh, fine.
Listen, I'll tell her that she needs to be tested again before she can be sure that she's special enough for my son. Wait. This is all very well, but I'm not convinced you've really done this all by yourself. Perhaps it was a trick or a fluke. I think we should have you spin some more straw into gold tonight. God!
Yes, sir.
More straw in here tonight, please, Henry.
Yes, sir.
Oh, woe is me. The little man saved me last night, but now I'm even worse off than I was before. I have lost the precious necklace that my mother gave me as she lay dying, and all I have to show for it is an even larger pile of straw. I wonder. The little man seems to have no trouble turning the straw into gold, but perhaps the spinning wheel is enchanted, and if I try to spin the straw, perhaps it will turn into gold for me too. It's no use. I can't spin the straw into gold. When the king comes back in the morning, he'll find no gold, only straw, and he will lock me up for the rest of my life. Oh, woe is me. Is that you, little man? Please help me. I'm in terrible trouble. Little man?
What? Crying again? Every time we meet, you seem to be crying. What is it this time?
Why shouldn't I cry? I have been ordered to spin all this horrid straw into gold before morning, and you know that I am not able to do it. If I fail, I shall have to remain in the cell for the rest of my life. That is why I am crying.
And what will you give me this time if I do it for you?
You already know that I am a poor man's daughter with hardly a penny to my name, and that I have already given you the necklace that my mother gave me as she lay dying. I have nothing else to give you.
You have a gold ring on your finger. You could give me that.
This is the ring that my father gave me on my 21st birthday. It would break my heart to give it away. You cannot ask me for it.
So, you have nothing to give me. If I spin that straw into gold... Wait. So, you have nothing to give me. If I spin that straw into gold for you, well then, I'll be on my way. Good evening.
Wait. Come back. If you can really spin that straw into gold, I will give you my ring, and may my father forgive me.
So the little man took the ring, sat himself down at the wheel, and began to work. The wheel started to spin slowly at first, then faster and faster.
Little man, you have saved my life. Thank you ever so much. I will remember you always.
The little man stepped away from the wheel, and before the miller's daughter could say another word, he was gone, with her ring. She lay down in the corner of the dungeon and once again fell heavily asleep.
When dawn broke next morning, the king and prince came in.
This is indeed remarkable. I'm beginning to believe that this young woman is special enough to be your wife. This is really amazing, but I've been foolish. I should have filled this room with straw the first time, and then I would have much more gold.
Father, you're getting greedy. Surely you've got enough gold for now.
Well, she's done good work so far. I see no harm in making her do it again.
You'll make her sleep in this horrible dungeon again?
She's a peasant. She'll be fine.
Really? Ugh.
Look, I'll tell her she needs to be tested once more, a last time, just to make sure that she's the right person to marry my son. This is all very well, but if you marry my son, you'll never be able to work again at spinning or anything else. So tonight you'll spin enough gold to last us forever. If you can do that before dawn, you shall marry my son and eventually become queen of this land. God!
Yes, sir.
More straw in here tonight, please, Henry.
Yes, sir.
Oh dear, if the little man does not appear tonight, I am truly done for. Perhaps if I called to him, he he'll come to me. Little man, where are you? I need help for the last time. Please come and help me. Little man, where are you? I need help for the last time. Please, can you come and help me?
Crying again. Every time we meet, you seem to be crying. What is it this time?
Why shouldn't I cry? I've been ordered to spin all this horrid straw into God before morning, and you know that I'm not able to do it. If I fail, I shall have to remain in the cell for the rest of my life. That is why I'm crying.
And what can you give me if I do it for you one last time?
You already know that I'm a poor man's daughter with hardly a penny to my name, and that I've already given you the necklace that my mother gave me as she lay dying, and the ring that my dear father gave me on my 21st birthday. I have nothing else to give you.
You're right. You have nothing more to give me at the moment. But I can't possibly spin all this straw into gold and spare your life in jail for nothing in return, you know. But I have an idea. Promise me that when you are queen, you'll give me your firstborn.
Born son?
Yes, didn't you hear me?
My firstborn son. Well, I shall have to think about it for a moment. What a horrible idea. But then, who knows if I'll really become queen anyway? And even if I do, who knows what might happen in between now and whenever I eventually have children? Who knows if I'll even have children? In any case, I don't really have a choice. If this straw isn't spun into gold by dawn, I'll have to remain in this jail for the rest of my life, and I don't really want that. I don't think I have much to lose if I promise him my firstborn son now. I'll work something out later on if I do have a son. All right, I agree. If you into gold, if I become queen and if I have a son, he shall be yours.
So without further ado, the little man sat himself down at the spinning wheel and began to work. Slowly the wheel began to spin, then faster and faster until it was just a blur. The miller's daughter did not really believe it would happen.
Little man, you have saved my life. Thank you ever so much. I will remember you always.
It is not me you must remember always. It is the promise you must remember always. Your firstborn son shall be mine.
And so, without further ado, the little man stepped over the wheel and was gone. The miller's daughter lay down in the corner of a dungeon and once again fell heavily asleep.
When dawn broke next morning, the king and prince came into the dungeon.
This is truly remarkable. There's more gold in here than I would know what to do with a lifetime. Nay, 10 lifetimes. Nay, 100 lifetimes. This girl is indeed special, and she shall be your wife.
Finally!
So the miller's daughter, who had spent the first part of her life in very poor circumstances, now became a princess amid much pomp and ceremony, and lived in very rich circumstances. She had dozens of cooks, hundreds of housekeepers, and thousands of gardeners to tend to her every wish. And in spite of all this wealth, she was very happy, particularly as she was able to give some money to her father, and he never again had to worry about whether he could eat enough when his milling business was doing poorly.
Some years later, the king died of old age, and the prince became king. And the princess, who had started off life as a miller's daughter, then became queen. A year later, she gave birth to a baby boy, the heir to the throne. This child, perfect in every respect. This child was so perfect, in fact, that the queen gave no thought to the promise she had made to the little man before she had married the prince. However, one day, while she was cuddling the child in the palace nursery, the little man appeared.
Your Majesty, I am sure you remember the promise you made me before you married the prince, that you would give me your firstborn son. The child is mine, and I'll take him now.
No, surely not. You cannot take him. He is my son, my firstborn son, the apple of my eye and the heir to the throne. You cannot take him.
Your Majesty, your queen, my queen, a promise is a promise. The child is mine, and I'll take him now. You must give me what you promised.
I can't give him to you. He is my son.
My queen, you must give him to me. Remember your promise. Well,
I can't give him to you. I'll give you all the riches I own if you will only leave me my son. Gold, silver, diamonds, rubies, emeralds, everything I own. Surely that is a fair replacement.
my queen, a promise is a promise. The child is mine, and I'll take him now. You must give me what you promised. She promised me her firstborn son, and now she is refusing to hand him over. I fulfilled my half of the bargain, and now I'm getting nothing in return. She does seem very attached to the child, though. Perhaps I'll offer her a compromise, one that sounds like a good idea for her, but I still went through it in the end. My queen, your majesty, I will offer you a compromise. If you guess my name within 3 days, you win the bet. Then the child then stays. If you fail, the child is mine. I'll be back tomorrow, come rain or shine.
Oh, what a relief. I'm sure it won't be very difficult to discover his name. I've got 3 whole days, and it's only a name. I won't tell my husband though. He might be cross. Oh, there he is.
Ah, there you are, my dear. How are you today?
Oh, I'm well, I suppose.
You seem a little flustered. Is there anything wrong?
Flustered? Me? No, not at all. I'm perfectly fine. I'm just stretching my leg.
And so the queen wandered round and round the nursery, desperately trying to think of every name she could. She didn't sleep that night, but made list after list, pondering over all the names she had ever heard. The next morning she was waiting for him when the little man suddenly appeared.
So here I am on this day one. You guess my name, you keep your son. But if you fail, make no mistake, as we agreed, the boy I'll take.
Well, it can't be very difficult to guess a name. Is your name Caspar?
No,
Is it by any chance Melchior?
no,
Then could it be Bartholomew?
no,
Tom?
no,
Ricky?
no,
Harry?
no,
Then Kiribani?
no. You see,
Could it be Jezebel?
No, you see, you're going to fail. If I were you, I'll start to quail. It wouldn't be easy as you thought. Just try to guess, will come to naught. If you can't guess, the child is mine. I'll come back tomorrow, come rain or shine.
He's gone. Well, I am disappointed. I thought I'd guess the name quickly. What shall I do? I've run out of names to guess. Henry?
Yes, my lady.
Call all the messengers together and ask them to soar the countryside for all the most unusual names they can find.
Names, my lady?
Yes, anything at all unusual. They should write it down and report it back to me, and don't mention anything to the king, my husband.
Yes, my lady.
The next morning, the messengers returned with a huge list of unusual names, and thus, when the little man suddenly appeared, the queen was waiting for him.
One day gone, you're down to do. No doubt you're wondering what to do. In just 2 days, I'll take your son. Your word once given can't be undone.
All right, I know I struggled a little bit yesterday, but I'm sure I'll do better today. Is your name by any chance Hecate?
No,
Crookshank?
no,
Spindleshank?
no,
Could it be Macavity?
no,
Then it has to be Pippi Longstocking.
no,
Pikachu?
no. You see, it wouldn't be easy as you thought. The price of straws spun into gold. Your firstborn child, to me you sold. Tomorrow I'll come, the child to claim, unless by then you guess my name.
Oh no, what am I going to do? I only have a day left, and I've already guessed every name I can think of, all the ones my messengers brought me. There's only one thing to do. I'll have to tell my husband. Perhaps he'll be able to guess the name. There, are you there?
Why, yes. What's the matter? Why are you so upset? You really haven't been yourself these past few days. Are you ill?
No, I'm not ill. I have something terrible to tell you. Years ago, I promised my firstborn son to a strange little man who saved my life, and now he has come to make me fulfill that promise. If I don't guess his name correctly tomorrow when he is here, he will take the child away.
What? We'll have him arrested. He sounds dangerous.
I don't think it will be that easy. He's not really a man, more of a magical creature.
Well, that changes things. How on earth did you get into such a mess? Actually, don't answer that. Tell me later. I don't want to get into lengthy explanations where there is still the possibility that we might lose the child. I will set off immediately to soar the country for any sight of that little man. And if I find him, so much the worse for him.
The king called his men to him, and they set off immediately. After a few miles, each man took a different road so they could cover as much ground as possible. The king took the road leading through the forests, off towards the mountain.
He rode on and on through the forest, trying to look around him for any sign of the little man. Ever so often he had a noise in the trees, but when he went to investigate, he found birds or deer, but no sign of anything evil or magical. After many hours, he saw an unusual light glimmering in the distance between the trees. He rode towards it and saw that it came from a clearing. He got off his horse and crept towards to get a good view of what was going on.
How bizarre! A cauldron in the middle of the woods. Have I disturbed a witches' gathering or something? Oh, I can hear someone coming. I'll hide and watch, and perhaps whoever is here will know something about that little man.
Eye of newt, brain of frog, knee of snakes going into the broth, tail of fly and burn of whale, leg of fish goes into the ale. Tonight I'll brew, tomorrow I'll bake, and then the child away I'll take. The queen will never know to claim that Rumplestiltzkin is my name.
Eye of newt, brain of frog, knee of snakes goes into the broth, tail of fly and bone of whale, leg of fish goes into the ale. Tonight I'll brew, tomorrow I'll bake, and then the child away I'll take. The queen will never know to claim that Rumplestiltzkin is my name. Eye of newt, brain of frog, knee of snakes goes into the broth, bone of whale, leg of fish goes into the ale. Tonight I'll brew, tomorrow I'll bake, and then the child away I take. The queen will never know to claim that Rumplestiltzkin is my name. Oh my goodness, how horrible! But I must get back to the palace immediately. What a stroke of luck that I saw that light and heard the rhyme. I must tell my wife.
The king crept quietly away from the clearing, jumped on his horse, and rode as quickly as he could back over the hill and dale to the palace. When he got there, he went straight to the queen and told her everything that he had just seen.
The queen was very relieved that he was back, and from what he had told her, she was sure that her husband had discovered the little man's name, even though he had never seen a little man before.
So, for the first time in 3 days, she was able to sleep properly. The next morning, she rose at dawn, composed herself, and was waiting for him in the nursery, when right on schedule, the little man appeared.
Two days gone, you're down to this third is lost.
Can we restart? Yeah, restart. Yeah, because you were taking so long. You started singing with your paper instead of with your mind. Wait, no. Go.
2 days gone, this third is lost. The time has disappeared so fast. 3 whole days you've had to see. If you can't guess, my name might be. And now I've come to the child to claim. Unless right now you guess my name.
Well, you were right. Guessing your name was much harder than I thought it would be, and I've almost completely run out of names. In fact, I can only think of 3 more names in the whole world. Is your name Snape?
No,
Is your name Voldemort?
no.
Then can it be that your name is Rumplestiltzkin?
What did you say? Wait, what did you say?
Is your name Rumplestiltzkin?
No. How did you guess that? How did you guess that? No one has guessed my name. And demon has told you. An evil demon has told you. Curse upon.
And that was the end of Rumpelstiltskin. The queen never knew whenever he disappeared through the ceiling, the floor, or through a wall, but it never really mattered. He never appeared in their lives again, and the king, the queen, and their son lived happily ever after.